Hello, 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 and welcome back to the GTD podcast. I am the Norax, and I speak for the podcast. It's whatever. I've started it. I might as well have some consistency with this, even if it's kind of stupid. Sadly, Max is not here today because he had other things to do. But in his place, well, there's nothing in his place, but I do have Matthew and Devin, who are still incredibly awkward.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey.
And I already introduced myself, Aaron and or Nora.
I would just call that delayed on my end.
Delayed, whatever. Yes, welcome to the GT podcast.
Yeah.
We have several things lined up to talk about today. We're going to be talking about what we've been playing this week. Then we'll swiftly move on to some trailers. Then moving on to host topics, news, the end of the show, shameless promotion, all of that good stuff, the whole shebang. It's great. Anyways, swiftly get into it, I guess. Devin, what have you been playing this week?
Wait, it's backwards.
What have you been playing this week? I assume nothing.
Minecraft, and that's kind of it.
Oh, cool. Minecraft. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna play Pokemon some, and then I decided not to.
Yeah.
Because I don't have my 3DS, so I just have my dad's 2DS.
Yeah. It's a shame that. It's a real shame.
I was gonna play some Tetris online at some point.
Yeah.
Because Tetris Online sounds fun.
I mean, you can get Tetris 99 on the Switch. It's free.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's very fun. Very
don't have
difficult.
a Switch.
Well, it's unfortunate circumstance, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've just been playing some Minecraft and whatever. All right.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I haven't. You know what? This is a first. I'll do me next. I usually go last. Guess what I've been playing this week? Too late. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't think I've played really. I played a little bit of Tetris 99 on Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure I haven't played. I don't recall playing really anything this week. Not even Zelda. I might have played like.
Wow.
No, yeah, I haven't played fucking anything this week. I don't know what's up with that. I've just been doing other stuff, and by other stuff I mean nothing. So yeah, I haven't played anything this week, but maybe Matthew has.
Well, on Monday, I played a bit more of Genshin Impact.
Oh.
And otherwise, let's see. And obviously there's Minecraft, but Oh, some Pokemon Reborn.
Really?
It's a fan-made game. I downloaded it again.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
What's it got going on for it? Like, what is it about? Is it a fan game? It's a fan game, but like, what is it about? A lot of fan games try to put their own spin on Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, it takes place in the region called Reborn, if you couldn't have guessed. I don't know if you could have. But one interesting way they make it more difficult is they basically eliminate the ability to grind too high level, because
Yeah.
there's a level cap based on the number of badges you have before your Pokemon stops listening to you.
I see.
Well, that's cool.
Don't play it on Nuzlocke. Do not try a Nuzlocke in that game.
Yeah.
Tyranitar Tube tried and he lost because there's a point where you fight an enemy that one-shots all of your team. If I
Yeah.
remember
Oh.
correctly.
Is it for story purposes?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of, if you're doing something like
Yeah.
that, you might as well just say, hey, this is for story. So,
And the game's tough enough otherwise, at least to me. I might just be really bad at Pokemon, but the game's really bad at optimizing. But the game's tough enough otherwise that you'll definitely lose Pokemon in different battles, primarily gym battles.
Yeah.
The double battles are awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun game.
Like, they're good, but
They're just
Sounds
hard.
like we should introduce Max to this.
yes. Its story is actually decent from what I've seen of it so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to have. Well, I was gonna say the only Pokemon games that really try to have a story are
Black and White and Black and White 2.
Platinum. Well, technically, Diamond and Pearl plus Platinum, because Platinum adds more to the story, and then Black and White 2, because Black and White 2 are direct sequels. That continue the story. Other than that, I mean,
Sword and Shield technically tried to have a story.
I guess X and Y try to have a story, but their antagonist is so boring and pointless. Like, he is the most generic antagonist you can possibly come up with. It's like, I am the Pokemon free evil. I will do. It's like, I don't know.
No, he's very unique and interesting, Aaron.
No, he's not.
And deep.
He has no, like, what is his plan? What does he want to achieve?
Wipe out everyone else except Team Flare, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't have a plan. He's just
Restart
doing
the world.
Yeah.
He just does a lot of random things. I guess, I mean, well, from like Gen 3 onwards, they do try to have these weird overarching stories with different, like, teams. Like in Diamond, not Diamond, fucking Ruby and Sapphire, you had Team Magma and Team Aqua that were fighting each other and were fighting over the legendary Pokemon.
Their goals were so dumb.
I mean, yeah.
Yes. They were Pokemon villains.
At least.
No, but like somehow they're, at least in my opinion, dumber than Team Galactic's plan, because they're trying to make more land or make more water.
Yes.
What's that gonna do?
Yeah.
Cyrus wanted to recreate the universe. Which is extreme, but still, it has more use than just more land or more water.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like the Pokemon story, like a lot of Pokemon stories are very simple, regardless of their complexity. They're still very simple stories and they're kind of dumb. Even like Pokemon Platinum, which I would argue, well, no, Pokemon Black and White probably has the best Pokemon story, just in terms of what it does, because it has a villain and an antagonist, which is a very complex thing for a Pokemon game story. It has both a villain
Yeah.
and an antagonist that you kind of agree with. Because N is an antagonist because he antagonizes you, but
Yeah.
kind of has goals and ideas you agree with because of what the implications of Pokemon and trainers are sometimes. Yeah. What were we talking about? You're playing Pokemon? Where did this come
Reborn.
from? Oh, that's right. You were talking
came
about
from
the
Pokemon
story.
Reborn.
That's right. I lost
It's
track
story
of myself.
from what I've seen. Decent.
Yeah, sorry, I lost track of myself slightly, and then I just kind of just talked by myself about Pokemon. But yeah, sorry, that's all you've been playing this week, Matthew?
Let me think. I believe so. Could be forgetting something. But I believe that's, I think that's all I've been playing video game wise.
Yeah. All right. Can I just say that really quick though? Because I was reminded of Sun and Moon. It's like Sun and Moon has the biggest anti-climax of like any Pokemon game. Like, you get to the end, Ultra Beasts are everywhere. You don't get to fight a single one. You go to the hallway, and then the bad guy fucking morphs with a Pokemon. Like, remember the bad guy combines with Pokemon, and then you just fight a Pokemon team. Then you just fight her Pokemon team because,
Yeah.
It's like it's just the weird. It's like the weirdest.
Because there's nothing interesting they could do with that concept.
It's just strange because it's the biggest
silly.
anti-climax. Because it's built up this whole time that the Pokemon you have with you throughout the entire journey is the legendary Pokemon. It's like, okay, transform, you get it. So you can go into the Ultra Wormhole and defeat Lusamine? Yeah, Lusamine. And then she combines with a big Ultra Beast into a human Pokemon, and it's just weird because you just fight her Pokemon team. Which, her Pokemon team doesn't even have any Ultra Beasts on it, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, the Ultra Beasts concept was kind of wasted a little bit.
A bit.
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon did more with the Ultra Beasts, at least to an extent. Yeah.
Anyways,
that mini game was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But
1 second.
Yeah. What was I saying? The hell? So confused for a second there. Yes. So yeah, that's what you've been playing this week, Matthew?
Yeah.
All right. Well, none of us have been playing really anything. Isn't that semi-correct?
I mostly just play Minecraft, so.
Yeah. All right then. Well, I haven't played anything this week, so I don't have an excuse for that. I just didn't. Yeah. All right.
It's great getting a podcast.
Moving swiftly onwards to trailers. So yeah, now that we have what we've been playing out of the way, we'll move swiftly on to trailers. So the first trailer we have today is for a game called Breathedge, and we'll see. It's official exclusive.
Each human being faces death sooner or later. But now, death is only the beginning of your journey. Let professionals take care of your future. The Global Funeral Agency is glad to present Universal Coffins for Space
And that was the. Oh, wait a second. Yes, that was the trailer for Breathedge. It's first shown at the IGA. Well, I'm not sure if it was first shown, but it was probably shown at the IGN FanFest 2020. But that was the official exclusive console trailer. So it's coming to consoles April 6th. You can play on PC currently. And it's a sort of space buildy adventure game. Possibly survival-esque, It's probably, it looks survival-esque. I haven't.
And then it turns out it's real it's real graphics are just Minecraft.
Yeah, it looks. Whoa.
No, it looks like the cool though.
What'd you say?
Be fun. It looks like the building aspect is pretty fun.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So you can, like I said, you can get it on PC right now, and it'll come to consoles on the 6th of April. So, I mean, I think it looks pretty good overall. It actually looks like I can compare it very easily to something like, oh goddamn, what is the name of that game? There's a game where you play on a planet and it's an ocean. There's a survival crafting game where you play on a planet and it's an ocean. And I wish I. Why can't I remember this?
Starve?
Why can't I remember what it's called? God damn it. Well, I can't remember what it's called, but I had it in my brain, but now it's gone. I can compare it to that game where it looks like, well, it looks like it won't have a procedurally generated map or a randomly created one from a seed. It looks like it'll have a made map for you to explore and build stuff in instead of like procedural generation or something other. So it might also have some kind of story elements as well. It looks pretty good overall. It looks pretty good. What do you two think?
It looks fine.
All right.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Cool. I'm glad. Glad that I can get some information out of you two.
I'm sorry.
All right. Moving on to our second trailer. We've got the hell's going on? Moving on to our second trailer, we have a trailer for Sea of Solitude, the director's cut launch trailer.
They say the devil's coming out to take my soul. And boy, you know better than you think you know. But if the devil's coming out to take my soul, I'm gonna play the little ditty, little rock and roll.
I know it's out there. I can see its wake. I can feel it moving beneath the waves.
Oh, the devil's coming out to take my soul. I said, bring it on in so we can see the show. Well, I'm open, saying that's all we got. Oh, it takes enough, but I'm on the run. 'Cause if the devil's coming out to take my soul, he's gonna hear my little ditty before I go. Yeah.
And that was the launch trailer for Sea of Solitude, the director's cut. So obviously, also there's a demo available now. So obviously, this is the director's cut of Sea of Solitude. And as you saw in the trailer, it was saying how there's new stuff being added, new voice acting, new cutscenes, possibly some new graphical enhancements as well.
Yeah.
Sea of Solitude is a game I've sort of been aware of for a while, but I never have gone like out of my way to play it. It's sort of like, well, Sea of Solitude is a adventure on the open sea. You could kind of compare it to Wind Waker, I guess, in the moving around a flooded world vibe. It's like you move around, you're on a boat in a flooded world, and you can interact with the environment and stuff like that. It's like an adventure game. So, overall, just from the trailer, it looks fine.
Looks like a game. I bet Max would have something more to say.
Well, yeah, that was for Nintendo Switch, by the way. So you can get it on the Switch. The demo is available. But I mean, it looks fun. It looks fun. Maybe I'll play it on the Switch when I get a chance. Yeah, that was the trailer for Sea of Solitude, the director's cut. Any thoughts overall?
No.
No thoughts, Matthew? Would you want to play it?
I'm not sure.
All right. All right. Moving on to our final trailer of the day in that case, which is a trailer for I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar.
Welcome back, Agent. Now that you've recovered from your last mission, it's time to get back into the field. Only a select few know you survived, so let's use it to our advantage. There's been an uptick in Zoraxis activity, so you've got a lot of work to do. We're counting on your skill and cunning. You'll need both if you want to keep the world safe. And this time, Agent, you must be ready for anything. Or anyone.
From one imposter to another. Break a leg.
And that was the I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar announcement trailer. So this is for PSVR.
Looks like it could be fun.
Yes. So I Expect You to Die is a VR puzzle game where you're playing as a spy and your goal is to complete missions. Very, very dangerous. You're going to die if you don't solve these puzzles missions. In a VR state. The first game was very well done. So obviously PlayStation is getting their PSVR stuff on with the second game, but it'll probably be on other VR headsets as well. But also it has a very sort of comedic Bond vibe going on. Or it's very much inspired by spy thrillers, but it's also supposed to be comedic. The first game, I assume this one will have too, but the first game had a full, like, if you've ever watched a James Bond film, you know those musical openings with all the weird imagery and like that sort of gives you, the first game had one of those, but it was all in first person from your perspective. So it was a complete 3D like model and thing that was going on around you, but it was like a Bond opening, and it had its own like Bond-esque theme. It was very good. It's very good. I know neither of you, do either of you look into VR all that much?
Nope.
All right then. Yeah.
I look into it in the sense that I'm interested in VR PvP games
I see.
because I think that'd be cool. But I haven't because if it's too expensive, then I don't want to get VR
I mean, the game
systems.
itself is probably not going to be very expensive. The VR equipment, however,
Yeah.
is obviously very expensive right now because the technology is still very new. Yeah.
Maybe at some point it'll be cheap enough that I can be like, $200 for a full set for 2 people. I can do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe $300. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, as long as there's still sort of a market for it, it'll eventually go down in price as technology continues to advance.
Maybe.
I mean, the biggest problem for VR at the moment is market, because you have to have people that are willing to go into VR. Because obviously there's still probably a large portion of people that are just like don't care enough about VR to use it as a replacement for like a controller or just sitting in a chair or something similar. And the other thing is there just aren't enough large games for VR. Actually, the largest game that really came out recently that was a proper like single player experience was Medal of Honor. There's a VR Medal of Honor game that came out. And I've seen basically the first mission of that, and it looks very good. It's very well done. It's like a proper like video. It's like a proper game you would expect on like the PS2, but it's all in VR. So it's like all gameplay, some cutscenes with good voice acting and writing. It's very well done. Obviously, it has some limitations because of VR, because you're shooting guns and VR. It's hard to, especially if you're two-handing a gun in VR. It's very weird because you're trying to hold on to nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Other than that, though, it was done very well. But going back to I Expect You to Die, like I said, the first game was very good, so I expect I expect you to die should be very good. The 2 should also be fairly good. Yeah, anything before we move on to host topics?
No.
All right. Then we'll swiftly move on after a full 20 minutes into host topics. Do either of you have a host topic?
I don't. But I bet you couldn't have guessed that. Couldn't have seen that one coming. No. From a mile away.
Was I supposed to have a host topic?
I mean, you don't always have to have one. Technically, you don't have to have one at all. It's just, do you have something you want to talk about?
I have a techie gadget.
Yes, I know. You're Agent Cody Banks. We've gone over this.
It's cool.
It's just a magnifying glass with a flashlight.
I don't care. It's cool.
Whatever. Yeah. One of your eyes is much bigger than the other because it's a magnifying glass.
Hey, I have a child on flashlights and things that do this.
All right then. Well, neither of you have a flashlight. A flashlight of host topic. Fucking god damn it. Just my mind wandered for a second. Yeah, the host topic. Neither of you have one.
No.
All right then. I mean, I didn't really have a host topic either, but like, yeah, whatever. Fine. No host topics this week. Sorry, none of us brought one.
I could make something up.
Yeah.
Something that I noticed books. The specific audience that you target can actually affect your fan outreach, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like Dresden Files is one of the most popular, or at least one of the more well-known book series, but there really isn't that much fan art for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's mainly because you can get a good TV adaptation. But then Harry Potter, I guess Harry Potter is the most popular book series, so that's not really a good.
I mean,
good
if we're
example.
talking most popular book
the
series,
Dresden
Lord of the
Files.
Rings probably beats the shit out of everything.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
in
good
terms
point.
of most popular book series, Lord of the Rings is probably number one. Most selling,
Maybe.
probably Lord of the Rings. Because it's like, because you have like, it's a matter of like, I mean, I don't know, maybe Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I don't have the numbers on me. I'm just assuming because of how popular Lord of the Rings.
I think it's Harry Potter, and the only reason I think it's Harry Potter is because the population of the world is larger now.
I see.
And more people have probably read Harry Potter than have read the Lord of the Rings.
I mean,
So
well,
according
the
to my
movies for
Google
Lord of the Rings
search,
also were a big portion of the audience.
According to your Google search.
I looked up what is the most popular book series in the world. I'm pretty sure it just gave me a bestsellers list, but still.
Okay.
Harry Potter is on top, and then Chronicles of Narnia, and then where's Lord of the Rings?
Mm-hmm.
According to Wikipedia, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is number 1. And then there's a 4-way tie for second place.
Between
2 of which are books I had never even heard of. The Little Princess, Dream of the Red Chamber, The Hobbit, and Then There Were None.
Yeah, okay. All right then.
Apparently.
Welp,
22 is Magic Treehouse.
We now have our answer. But
yeah, I think Harry Potter is
Oh,
probably the
right.
biggest book series.
Yeah, of course, the Lord of the
There's
Rings.
7 books compared to Lord of the Ring having 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Ring.
No, but also, of course, Lord of the Rings isn't on the bestsellers. It wasn't very popular when Tolkien was alive.
Well, yeah. Most influential? Lord of the
It
Rings.
surged after he died.
Yeah, that's true.
Lord of the Rings has to be the most influential simply because the amount of stuff that has blossomed out of D&D.
I mean, just like most modern interpretations of orcs, halflings, trolls. I mean, like modern interpretation. A lot of these mythical creatures exist. Well, they didn't exist, but mythical creatures that Tolkien took inspiration from existed before him. It's just our modern interpretation of a lot of fantasy races and creatures come from Tolkien. You know?
Yeah.
So like
this is cool looking, right?
It looks like you're disintegrating. Yeah, you're so white that the sun is literally reflecting off of your body. You could pass as like an angel for like maybe a few seconds. Yeah, you're literally just like glowing. Light is shining off of you. All right then. What were we? Yeah, you're what?
Cool effect. It's also very warm.
Yeah,
you said Lord of the Rings has had a large cultural effect. I don't know what you said after that though.
Yeah, it definitely has. It definitely has had a very large cultural effect. Because, like I said, most of modern interpretation of fantasy creatures are Tolkien, inspired. At least all of the creatures that he put in his books, because obviously, like, there's a lot of fantasy creatures.
He didn't have like fairies and stuff, probably.
No, or just like the one that came to my mind was succubuses, and it's just like probably didn't have any of those in his books.
Yeah, those don't really fit. He didn't have demons actually. There were no like demons or angels in Tolkien.
Well, Sauron
Huh.
is supposed to be sort of like a devil, kind of. He was also just
Okay.
supposed to be a
Isn't-
blacksmith, wasn't he? Because he was like,
Isn't No, Sauron's a demigod, right? Who's the child of the super evil god.
Yes.
Yeah, there are angels, right? They just
What?
never come into the story.
Okay.
Are
there
there
are
angels somewhere in there?
They aren't biblical angels or like modern fantasy interpretation of angels.
I wasn't thinking that.
angles.
Okay.
I don't know.
They're nothing. They're like super beings. They're not necessarily. I don't think people
Are
would
they called
categorize-
angels within some
No.
mention?
I don't know. But
Yes, apparently they are called angels.
That's what I thought.
But they're specifically. They actually have a different name. They're called the Air.
I don't care.
They're made by the thought of Eru.
all right, well, we've
Yeah.
severely gotten off topic, so
No, we're still totally talking about video games, Aaron.
Yeah,
we weren't
yeah.
even
Lord of
talking
the
about
Rings
what
is a
Devin was
game,
talking
so-
about.
Ooh. What do you think the most influential video game has been? Not the most popular, just the one that created the most effect on the genre.
Fuck. Most influential video game.
Yes.
That's a
One game
hard
that-
thing to answer because obviously there have been so many video games, but also you kind of have to think about like what, like, because obviously Nintendo saved the gaming market in the West with the NES and the original Mario Brothers and selling their thing as a toy instead of a console to make stores, have like a stock it. That's the word I was looking for. But then if you go past, like if you go back before Nintendo saved the gaming market in the West, you have like Atari and like all of that stuff. And I guess, I mean, part of me wants to say Pong, but at the same time,
No.
it's not the first video game, but it was the first arcade machine.
Yeah, but did it inspire arcade machine games?
I mean, I would say its success definitely inspired arcade machines to flourish.
Okay.
It kind of depends, because like
I guess I meant more like the mechanics of the game.
if we're talking inspirational mechanics, Super Mario Brothers, the original on the NES, that was literally one of the first. Actually, thinking it's like it was one of the most successful games of all time, and it basically birthed an entire genre of 2D platformers. Like it was the first of a 2D platform style of game. Like you had stuff on arcades before that, like like Super Mario Brothers. Like actually no, because Super Mario Brothers the first like side-scrolling platformer, but you have the original Donkey Kong, where you're going up the platforms in a 2D environment, and then you have the Mario and Luigi game on arcade, where you're playing as Mario and Luigi, and you're going back and forth picking up turtle shells and throwing them at stuff to acquire points, and it's like this semi-battle game. So like there was obviously a lot of stuff before Mario, but I think Mario is kind of like the Mickey Mouse of the gaming world. It's like everybody kind of knows him, regardless of your knowledge of video
point.
games. It's like, I mean, literally an entire generation of parents would probably just call Nintendo was so successful that entire generations of parents called video games Nintendo or Mario. Like, that's how influential Mario and Nintendo were.
Wow.
It was just the standard. You know? And obviously, obviously Nintendo is what saved the gaming market in the West. But like, it isn't what they didn't burn the gaming market in the West. That goes to, well, it kind of depends on who you deem the father of video games, because I'd argue that the gaming market was probably propagated by Nolan Bushnell and Atari. Like the arcade machines and all the Atari systems. But if we're talking about first video game, like father of video games, I would argue that the what was it called? I don't remember what it was called, but there was a game that was produced on, it was the first video game that was ever produced, the first like video game. Like, it had video and there was gameplay on the first computer that had a screen. And it was one of those big room computers at a college. And it was developed by like one guy, and you could play it online between colleges, because obviously colleges were the only ones who had access to these giant room-sized computers with screens. So that's basically like the first video game to me. And it would that's what I would say birthed the concept of them. But you also have like other competitors in the console market before Atari. You had like the Magnavox Odyssey, which was like pretty much the first big home console that failed massively, because it was a console, it was a Pong console. It only had Pong, and you put overlays over the TV screen to simulate different environments to play in. So you'd put these plastic overlays over the screen to pretend you're playing different sports. So it's like hockey, football, probably some kind of like air hockey, stuff like that. And these plastic overlays over your television, and all the game was Pong. That's all it was. But yeah, I've gone off on a tangent about the history of video games again. Oh well. Yeah, I guess to sort of answer your question, there's a lot there's a lot of, I would say, influential things to modern gaming overall. You know?
I think I agree with Mario actually. I think Mario makes
yeah.
It's good. It's a good contender. Because I can't think of anything else that's been as influential as that.
Yeah. Because
it created platformers.
yeah, yeah.
Doom.
Doom Doom I don't think was the first what we would call first person shooter. I believe that honor actually goes to Wolfenstein. I'm pretty sure Wolfenstein came out before Doom, but Doom was more, well, they were both pretty successful, but Doom was more advanced in its sprite work and level design and stuff like that. I think I don't know exactly when that came out, but yeah, I mean, you definitely say Doom is very influential because it was one of the first big shooters that are very, very popular in the market today. Hell, there was a Doom game that came out last year, Doom Eternal. yeah. I don't know. Yeah, cause
Okay.
because just thinking about you have Mario so as a good contender, but also just like Nintendo did a really good job at kind of creating genres of games like Metroid, Zelda, Mario. Uh, well, Metroid is half of an entire genre of video games. Metroidvania. It's like Metroidvania spawned an entire genre. So, the first like proper adventure game was I think just called Adventure on the Atari 2800 or 2600. I don't recall. But there was a game called Adventure and you played as a dot going through a castle getting keys. That was actually the very first game to have an Easter egg in it. The Easter egg was just the name of the developer. Yeah, the Easter egg was just the name of the developer. Because obviously, before games had credits or anything like that. But isn't it interesting how the very first Easter egg is just the name of the guy who made it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just a secret inside the game. But yeah, I don't. We were talking about like influential pieces of media, but I feel like I kind of just got off topic.
Maybe a little bit.
I guess sure we'll call that a host topic, and pretend that we planned this from the beginning. All right, so we'll call that a host topic and move swiftly onwards to the news we have this week. Our first bit of news, I just thought, okay, so this piece of news I just thought was too ridiculous to not cover in some way. So Activision Blizzard hires, well, the article says Activision Blizzard hires, the article is called Activision Blizzard hires Bush era torture apologist as chief compliance officer. Now, I read this article and what is her name? Sure, announced that Activision Blizzard announced yesterday that Francis F. Townsend, a former George W. Bush era counterterrorism appointee and torture apologist, would become its new head of compliance. It was just like, also, yeah, like just to give some pointers, like this article is kind of political because obviously it is in nature because they hired literally a compliance office, like they hired somebody, like they hired a former, let's see, behind Townsend gained a career in politics as a prosecutor, promoted to the Southern District of New York by Rudolph Giuliani in the 1980s before moving to the Justice Department, where she worked throughout the Bill Clinton administration. When Bush took over, she was eventually tapped to be the top White House advisor on counterterrorism and homeland security. This position made her one of the faces of the Bush administration's heinous and disastrous war on terror. That's just in the article. So, like, so yeah, Activision Blizzard hired as a compliance officer in their workplace. Like, what was Townsend may not have been legalization around. The company was recently called on the largest unions in the country. Okay, so Activision Blizzard also got a. I think one of the reasons they're doing this is because they got called. Activision Blizzard basically got called out by the largest federation union in the country to implement a Rooney Rule, which, if you don't know, is basically, hold on a second. A Rooney Rule is basically it's like you try to increase the number of diverse candidates for work. You try to increase the number of diverse candidates for interview for the workplace, which they said would have been too hard to do, essentially. So basically what they said. Yeah, so Activision called the modest proposal an unworkable encroachment on the company's ability to run its business and compete for talent in a highly competitive, fast-moving market. That is what Activision Blizzard told the public when they were told to implement a Rooney Rule. Where is this? Okay, so yeah, according to the Wall Street Journal, 2000's big focuses will be on player data privacy and monitoring the involving regulations around things like loot boxes. It's important that we are involved in the conversation as regulations are being considered, she said. Often legislators are legislating on things they are not entirely familiar with, and when they do, that it can have consequences that they didn't intend. Also, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, who made almost 100 million in bonuses over the past 4 years, called Townsend a highly regarded public servant in a press release yesterday, while the newly appointed compliance officer called Kotick a transformational leader. So that reads to me, at least, that her job is going to try and convince any legislators that loot boxes are in fact completely legal and not gambling at all. That's what that reads to me. But yeah, she's a compliance, so yeah, Townsend is a compliance officer for Activision Blizzard now, which is just kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to read this entire article, but the article basically covers a lot of her history on things she's done, and she's basically a terrorist. I'm just gonna say that. She's kind of a terrorist. But yeah, I'm not gonna try and get too political in this, but it's far too late, actually. But yeah,
No.
the main reason I want to discuss this outside of the ridiculousness of the situation is the fact that they basically hired a former government official to help them lie to the government that loot boxes are in fact not gambling. Or at least that's what it reads. That's what it reads to me. That's what the article reads to me as. Which makes sense because a lot of legislators have been getting on loot boxes as gambling, which is not a good thing for corporations. I'm pretty sure loot boxes were outlawed as gambling in a few EU countries.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I followed the loot box grind as far as legal matters go, so I don't know too much of what has happened recently, but this bit of news was just too ridiculous to pass up. Yeah, what do you guys, I basically just spieled for 5 minutes there. What do you guys think? Okay, you don't have to have an opinion. I just
No, it's just funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny that Blizzard is able to just walk around doing this.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, honestly.
They have a lot of goodwill or some kind of political capital to just be able to.
They have money.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not like it's it's not like
people
it's
have to
illegal
buy
for
their
them just
stuff.
they hired somebody who probably hasn't been in the political world for a while, but she still was.
Yeah, that's fair.
She still was.
I think that might be
What?
Because I think that might be why. It's because the torturing thing and the whole Bush era was so long ago that most people don't remember it very well, even people who are alive then.
I mean, it's only been 20 years.
It was like 20 years ago.
No.
I know, but people have really bad memory.
You know what? It's not even been 20 years because I remember Bush being president when I was in kindergarten because I had to write some stuff about him. When did because
Oh,
Bush
I have some timelines wrong. He was president until 2009.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because like he was that's what I thought.
okay.
It's not even been
That's not-
10
that's not that
it's
long
only been
ago.
like 10 years because
Like 10 years
Obama
ago.
got to our last like 4 presidents have gotten 4 terms. Or sorry, no, 2 terms.
4 terms?
I meant to say 2 terms.
2 terms.
Because each term is 4 years. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, because each term is 4 years, so our last like 4 presidents have gotten 2 terms. Yeah, it's not been that long since Bush has been the president. But yeah, outside of the kind of ridiculous of the situation, it's just ridiculous. And that's all I really have to say about that. What do you just like final thoughts about what do you think?
I think it's funny that they're trying to avoid the difficulties posed by loot boxes exist, like because like loot boxes are just such an they're such a difficult problem because it's like, well, if you one way it's literally gambling, and if you look at another way you can kind of stretch it into like this weird like sort of but not, but also it's profitable.
I'm never gonna forget when EA in front of a bunch of legislators said it was surprise mechanics. I will never be able to forget when EA tried to say loot boxes were surprise mechanics. Oh man, that was the funniest thing. It didn't work at all. Yeah, that's it for that article. Moving on to our second piece of news and last piece of news of the day, which is just an article about Nintendo talking about the Nintendo Switch's lifespan. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get too much conversation out of this piece, but I just think it's kind of interesting. I think it's worth talking about and noting because the Nintendo Switch is obviously only about 4 years old. Came out in 2017. So it is kind of ridiculous that it's already been so long since the Nintendo Switch has been out. But because there's been a lot of like semi not leaks per se, but like what's the term? There's been a lot of rumors and like semi news about possibly a new Nintendo Switch or a Super Switch that has like OLED or in 4K capabilities or something like that. Like that's something I read recently. But like, I don't know, it's like the Switch is only about 4 years old. And it just kind of feels too soon to start to be talking about something new. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I do want to read one quote from the CEO of Nintendo where he said, even though the first few years of the Nintendo Switch have been so I'll just read this section of there. But even though the first few years of the Nintendo Switch have been widely successful, Furukawa isn't complacent. Currently, the Switch's sales are exceedingly favorable and achievements are also good. But I have zero peace of mind, he said. No matter the hits in the entertainment business, people someday do lose interest. Until now, we have repeatedly said we have repeatedly had the experience of our businesses taking a nosedive, which is very true if you've been keeping up with Nintendo for the past like 10 years or so. Basically, everything, all of their consoles after the N64 have kind of not done very well. The GameCube was a very nice piece of hardware, but because of the small discs and other shortcomings, it was not super successful, and a lot of third-party stuff was just not done on it. Then you had the Wii, which was super, super successful, but only really for like a casual market that moved to phone games immediately after the Wii. Like there was a lot of pretty good first party stuff on the Wii, but the Wii was like the biggest shovelware console in existence. It is ridiculous how much shovelware got on the Wii. And then you have the Wii U, where
What's shovelware? What's shovelware?
Basically nothing, like nothing games. Like games that are like, you know, like really terrible like games based on other entertainment, or like really, really basic like fashion, like makeup styling games, or like fashion games, or like just, you know, just the basic bones of a game that is literally nothing, that nobody will buy. Nobody that wants to have an enjoyable experience anyways. Yeah, the Wii got a lot of shovelware. If you've ever looked at the Wii's library, there is a mountain of weird random games that just get on the Switch, got on the Wii. But then after the Wii, you had the Wii U, which was basically considered a failure. It had a lot of pretty good games, but when it was first announced, a lot of people got confused of the marketing and the name. A lot of people thought it was just the controller, the handheld screen device that was just like something you bought to have with the Wii. So a lot of people didn't know it was a new console. So because of that, it kind of failed. And also just, again, a lot of third-party support was just not there for the Wii U. So it's only until recently that Nintendo has been on like a high because of the Switch. Like the Switch is like stupidly successful. Yeah, and then
the Switch has been really successful.
What? What'd you say?
The Switch has been really successful.
Yeah. But I'll read the next part of this. So after he says, you know, it's like, we really had experience of business taking nosedive. Because of this, I myself, as well as those within the company, do not at all think the current state of affairs will keep going and going. For Furukawa, he believes that every single year is a do or die situation. You must give new customers fresh surprises, and our existence can slip into obscurity anytime. I always have this kind of sense of crisis. So that's the Furukawa, the current CEO of Nintendo.
Okay.
And that's like, it's an interesting way of looking at like Nintendo's success, and this idea that like we always have to be prepared in case, you know, we always have to give new things and new experiences. Otherwise, we'll just fade, or you know, which is interesting, especially like that's a very, to me personally, I feel like that's a very unique take on the gaming market compared to like every other game studio that just pumps out the same thing over and over again. So, you know, yeah, he, I think, yeah, he also says, for our company, it's a big topic. What we should do when a console passes its 5th year and the hardware's life cycle is in the process of getting longer. Furukawa explained. The exec added that great care is given to Switch owners who are continuing to use the console. So obviously, you know, also just one last thing. He says, approach animation, Switch's lifespan. I often say that's entered. Okay, so regarding the Switch's lifespan, I often say that's entered its middle phase or so. He explained that because the Switch can be played as a traditional home console and as a portal, there are a lot of possible games we are able to lengthen the life cycle. So obviously, because of the Switch's unique capabilities, it's can just continue going without really needing to upgrade, as it were. You know,
Yeah.
just personally, I don't think there's really a need. I think there's this small group of people that are getting like super hyped up on the PS5's technological improvements and are just kind of waiting for Nintendo to do something, even though Nintendo has never attempted that ever. They have never tried to be the forefront of technology. Like literally, like even like the N64 was the first 3D console. But at the time when they could have switched over to CDs, which was what PlayStation did for the PS1, and also Sega did it with the Dreamcast. Like Nintendo were the outliers in that, and it actually prevented a lot of big games from getting onto the N64 because of space. Like Final Fantasy VII, which needed to be on 3 discs for the PS1, would have taken like over 20 cartridges. Like it was a ridiculously large amount of space for cartridges back in the day. Obviously, now that we're in the future, ironically, cartridges like USB, like not USB devices, but like SD cards can hold like way more space than your average CD nowadays, which is kind of ironic. But but you know, it's like Nintendo has always been doing what they do. Like Nintendo always does their own thing regardless of what the market is. So they'll probably continue to do that.
That's smart.
Also, given his statement, if we're currently in the Switch's middle phase, like so the Switch is basically reaching its 5th year of existing, and that is considered its middle phase. So does that mean we're getting another 5 years out of it, or I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm kind of tired of the console slog, personally. Like the PS5 came out and it just kind of doesn't feel like anything. Like I don't know. There isn't anything like
I was
the
actually curious about
PS5
that
and the
when you mentioned the
Xbox
PS5.
Series X, as I think what they called it. Like those both came out and there was this big thing and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like
what is it?
what? What'd you say?
I was just curious what it does. I was
What
just
the
curious, like what
PS5?
what is the difference between a PS5 and a PS4?
I mean, it had so PS5 had a
Is it just
PS5
faster?
has ray tracing, sort of. It has 2 modes. It has performance and like
Okay.
it has a performance mode and also like an enhanced mode. So you can get like ray tracing on some games, and I think there's some 4K compatibility, maybe. I don't know. The biggest sort of advancement that they are doing is the haptic feedback triggers, the haptic feedback controller, where it's like you get like they showed it off really weirdly during the presentation, but basically it's supposed to be like very like like you get a lot of feedback through the controller from the game itself. So it's like if you pull a trigger, you can pull it like a small amount to do something on a mount, and you get a lot of feedback through the game itself. So it kind of you know, it's whatever. That's like their biggest thing they've done for that. An Xbox Series X is just a toaster, so you know. It looks like a toaster. It's just this big cube. It's ridiculous looking. But like, I don't know. They're like, we're getting to this point in graphical fidelity. Like I've seen Demon Souls on PS5. It's like, it looks incredible. It looks ridiculously detailed. It is actually ridiculous how detailed that game is. But like, I don't know. It doesn't, like, there's a point where realism saps away any charm something has.
It doesn't feel like that adds much to the game.
Yeah, it's like, what, to me personally, I feel like realism, like the world itself, like when you try to emulate the real world, you slowly make it less and less interesting because you're trying to emulate something that's physically impossible to emulate. Like the world itself is 10 times more interesting than like a lot of games that are trying to be realistic. You know, it's just,
Yep.
I don't know, it's just, for Demon Souls specifically, it just kind of feels like the realistic and the realism and the detailed graphics just kind of sucks the charm away from the original, what the original Demon Souls was. Because the original Demon Souls had a lot of charm, and the new one just kind of sucks it away with its graphics. And I feel like the longer and longer that games try to have realistic looking graphical styles, the more and more boring games are going to look. Because with like an exception to that, the new Ratchet and Clank game that's coming out, like that has like a cartoony art style and it looks freaking amazing. Like it looks really good, even with like the, you know, PS5 graphics. So I don't know. That's just, there's like probably a 10-minute rant about my feelings on the console market and some other random stuff. I think we've been going for about an hour and 30 minutes, give or take, probably a little less. But what do you guys think? I just kind of took over this entire podcast, but what do you guys think?
We apparently have not had a lot to say. I think I asked some good questions. Maybe.
Yeah. I hope I answered them.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, that was that's the news for today. Yeah, that's sorry, that's the news, and that's basically the end of the show, unless somebody else has something to talk about, in which case we'll just move on to shameless self-promotion. No? Okay. Boopity boop 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 boo, shameless self-promotion. Yes, welcome to Shameless Self-Promotion, the part of the show where we shamelessly promote ourselves. Devin, why don't you go first? Where can people find you, and what do you have coming up?
I'm Devin of DevMafu Gaming. I don't tend to post a lot recently because I've been kind of sad, but not sad. What's demotivated? I've been distracted. That's a much better way of putting it.
You don't have any motivation. Do you find it hard to get out of bed?
I could watch a movie, or I could do some work.
Yeah.
No, I just find it easier to watch a movie than to do the work. I'm not. It's not really. I'm not really sad. I'm just choosing the easier option. Like,
Devin, you should do like I do, where I just sit at my computer,
you have
staring at my page.
Yeah. So that's you know. So just is that it?
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn, where I'm going to be uploading a new video. I wrote my name in Minecraft, not my real name, but my Minecraft username in a PvP game. And I managed to win a fight I should not have won. That was exciting.
Yeah.
That's it though.
All right. You don't have a Twitter,
I'm
so
working
it's
on a
whatever.
spray, but it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
can find some sketches that I made on Deli. That's it.
All right. Matthew, what are you doing this week?
I want to continue procrastinating on it. I
Matthew,
don't want to have to watch the whole thing through.
tell the people where they can find you, and also what you have coming up this week.
Yeah. Okay. So let's set it a little farther. On Thursday, the first episode of Last Life, my hardcore Minecraft series, will be uploaded to my channel, Mystical Meanderings.
All right.
And you can find me on YouTube. And technically another location, but
Is that it though?
which is Twitter. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. Moving on to me. Hi, I'm Aaron and/or Norax. I do this podcast again. I do this podcast every week. You might have seen it once or twice. It's crazy, I know. As always, I'll be continuing to host this podcast mainly, and there probably won't be a break like the week before last because I was lazy. Let's pretend that didn't happen. I'm in a recorded D&D campaign with these two. I don't know when it's coming out, though. You'll have to ask Matthew. Max also has a channel that you can check out, but he isn't here, so don't check him out. Punish him for not showing up by not checking out his channel, which is Dillian Kriker, by the way. Other than that, I have some videos planned in the future, but honestly, I don't know when those will come out. Probably never, given my current tidings of doing nothing all day. I'm very smart. But other than that, or rather not other than that, but that is all because that is all. Oh, right. You can find me on Twitter at Gaming the Discussion, where I will post news articles that I find interesting and also when the episode goes live. You can also find everything we talked about in the description or the pinned comment below. Oh, so please check it out if you want to read what we talked about in full detail. And that's it for my aimless ramblings about what you can and cannot do. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to this beautiful channel. This beautiful, beautiful channel that will hopefully still exist at whenever you want to look at it. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. Yes. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of that cool stuff. If you're a cool dude, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not a cool dude, then you can get out of here. But who am I kidding? You're all cool. Any goodbyes from my co-hosts? Before I just click stop?
Bye.
See you in the future.